Hey guys, so we're continuing the lecture for chapter number 8. And so we covered a lot of things: net present value, IRR, payback period, discounted payback period, and profitability index at the very end. Yeah, we also look at investment timing problems. And one other kind of problem under the NPV section, which is similar to the investment timing problem, or not really similar, but it still falls under the NPV section, is the choice between long and short-lived equipments. So whenever you have the choice between long and short, this is a mutually exclusive project. So this falls under the NPV, and so your choice is to either get something which is cheap but breaks down earlier, or something which is more expensive and lasts a little bit longer. So we try and think of those things in terms of clothes, fashions, and many small equipments, and what you would think about. So here there's two machines. Machine D is something which costs more and lasts longer, and machine E is something which costs less, um, and lasts shorter, but it's much cheaper, but like there's different operating costs as well. So which machine should a firm acquire? So a lot of times people just find out the NPV of both and they try and make some decision, and they end up making a wrong decision. And sometimes uh, here right now, this is how you actually try and compute this value. So if you just look, remember here in machine D, this is machine E, machine D, these are all costs. This is not a net present value. This is not a positive cash flow. You buy this machine and it still costs a bunch of money. And here you're buying the machine and still costs a bunch of money to operate. So assume the present value or the benefits on an annual basis is still the same. So here, we cannot compare the present value of costs with different lives. So because of this reason, we compute something known as the effective annual cost. So the effective annual cost is just the operating expense per year, if you could try and think about it. On a per year basis, how much does it cost to operate this machine? So here, this costs $4 or 4 million or 4,000 or whatever, $4,000 per year to operate. But in addition to that, there's a huge initial investment. So this costs 6,000 to operate, but in addition to that, there's a huge initial investment as well. So what do you do? The biggest problem is if you just compare operating costs on a per year basis, you could make an easy decision. But here, there's a big initial investment, which kind of muddies the water a little bit. So this huge initial investment, if you could take this initial investment and spread it across the life of the project in some sense. Um, and that would give you an effective equal annual comparison between the two machines, and that will allow you to make your decision. So how do you calculate this effective annual cost or equivalent annual cost? Well, that's just given the present value of the cost divided by the annuity factor. So here it's going to be 25. The present value of all these costs, if you try and think about it, is 25.69. And the annuity factor, well, here for machine D, it's a 3-year project, 1, 2, 3 years, the last 3 years. So we are going with the 3-year annuity factor. So 3-year annuity factor is the value of $1 discounted at a rate of 6%. So you're receiving $3, like 3 payments of $1 each, and you're discounting them by 6% at present value. And that is your annuity factor. So if you want to quickly look at that, so it's, let's say for over the next 3 years, you're receiving a value of $1. Okay, so and you're discounting them at 6% in this scenario. So if you want to try and think about a 3-year annuity factor at 6%, just to be more specific. So this is going to be the present value of all that, which is the rate is 6%, and then you take these. So this is the 2.67, and that is the annuity factor over here, 2.673, which you get. And the effective annual cost is going to be 9.61 for machine D. The same way you could calculate it for machine E as well, and the effective annual cost is 11.45 over there. And so here, on average, the way you try and think about it, this costs $11.45 million per year, and this costs only $9.6 million per year. And so you go with the lower option because these are all costs and these are not benefits. So you go with the lower option, $9.6, and that's so you select machine D over here. So this is the choice between long and short equipment. Uh, very similar problem is the idea of a replacement problem. So here, instead of the long and short, you're trying to think about, again, existing versus new machine in some sense. Um, so old machine, it'll last 2 more years, uh, and it costs $12,000 a year to operate. New machine costs much more, but it's much more efficient. Newer technology, newer refrigerator, energy efficient, and all these things. Should we replace it now or wait a year? And this is the cost of capital at 6%. So again, the you don't have to in this scenario, you don't have to worry about the cost of the old machine because the old machine costs only $12,000 per year to operate, and that's its effective annual cost. It's given to you already. You don't care about what you purchased it for. Even if you purchased it for $1 million, it doesn't matter because uh, that's a sunk cost in some sense. You only care about the operating annual cost in some sense. The new machine again is $25,000 and $8,000 per year. So 25,000 and 8,000 every year, and you're spreading this 25,000 evenly across the 5 years, across the life of the project. You already found out the present value of all the costs, and the effective annual equivalent annual cost is 13.93. Let's actually quickly work this out. So you had negative 25, and then you have negative 8, negative 8, negative 8, negative 8. So for 5 years, you have a cost, and then you have an overall thing over here. This is the uh, initial investment in some sense. So the present value of costs is going to be the interest rate or the opportunity cost of capital is also given as 6%. So the present value of all these costs, oh, this was in percentage. No, let's just do it in dollars. It's 58.70. So 58.70 was our present value of all the costs. And let's do the annuity factor. So in this scenario, we have a 5-year time period because the thing lasts for 5 years. The machine lasts for 5 years. So 5-year annuity factor at 6%. That's what you need to find out. So this is going to be the present value of a $1 payment over 5 years discounted to today. So same interest rate. So the 5-year annuity factor at 6% is going to be 4.21. And so the effective or equivalent annual cost is going to be the NPV, the present value of cost divided by the annuity factor. So this costs you $13.93 million. That's how you get this 13.93 million. So comparing that with the old machine costs 12,000 per year, and this one's costing 13,900 per year. So you stick with the old machine for 2 more years and do not replace it. Wait the 2 years. So that's how you try and think about this question. There's one more question over here in your handout number 8, and you could attempt this question. It is very, very similar to this particular question, and you could tell me the answer, and you could check the answer with me later on. But that's it for this video, and that completes chapter number 8. Bye-bye.